Emotion. Don't be afraid.
Mommy, Sissy fell, Sissy fell. That's how my day on February 20th, 2011 began. My 3.5-year-old announcing those words to me in the kitchen of my brand new apartment. Just minutes before, I was in the bedroom with both of my daughters, where we were snuggled up together reading books in bed. Jalen loving the mint chocolate tea with fresh almond milk I had made. She wanted more, so I went to the kitchen to make it. I was clearly going for some sort of idyllic setup to bypass the fact we were not at home with their father. We were in Mommy's brand new apartment. Yay! Fake it till you make it, they say. My life had become a train wreck. The apartment, some space, room to breathe, was what I needed. Cameron's seeming fright was eerie. Why couldn't I hear Jalen if she was hurt? I remember trying not to panic as I walked the short distance from the kitchen to my bedroom. Then time stood still as I rounded the corner and saw my open window. Nothing but air between me and the outside world. No screen. My heart sank. Still in denial, I rushed to the window, looked down, saw a sight burned in my memory. Jalen lying face up on the ground, 5 floors below. Eyes wide open, staring blankly up towards the sky. I knew she was dead. Next came my guttural cries, getting lost in the parking garage, care flight, a mad dash to Children's. I'll never forget the look on Cameron's scared little face as she said, "Sissy's dead," to herself, repeating my words to the 911 operator. The long and winding trip was some kind of eternity as the apartment building seemed like a maze I had not figured out yet. Finally, making it to her side, the fight for her survival began. I had already seen too much death and obscene tragedy. This cannot be happening, is all I thought. But that day and the aftermath shocked my fragile and frayed system into a brand new reality, one that I wouldn't trade for the world. Jalen is perfect now, healthy and happy at 7 years old. After 8 days, 5 in ICU, we were released from the hospital on her 5th birthday. Only broken bones, scrapes, and bruises. No casts, no head trauma. Both of her lungs collapsed, which was the biggest hurdle. Only 13 and a half months before, I was standing in a different kitchen, still fairly protected in my quiet bubble of a life in a nice home in North Dallas. I received a mysterious phone call from a detective, something to do with a car accident and my older sister and how I really needed to just get to the hospital. I was given cryptically little information other than the situation was serious. Jenny had been punished by life a lot already. A phone call like this, I didn't like. When I got to the hospital, Jenny was dead on arrival. She drowned in her car at a pond in Richardson. It is suspected Jenny drove her car into the pond on purpose, intending to escape. Under financial strain and her car payments too expensive, she thought by totaling the car, she could be free of them. 4 years earlier was when we lost my mom to self-destruction. A hard-working single mother most of my life, she battled silent demons that had her hospitalized several times. I was the one who discovered her lonely, lifeless body overcome by pill abuse and poor health. Jenny was a manic depressive and had a lot of trouble coping with our mom's death, even attempting suicide once after a lonely Mother's Day. But she fought back, but still, haunted and compulsive till the end, it finally got her. Jenny and I were a team. As I looked at her bloated purple face at the hospital, I thought, damn you, Jenny, how am I going to do this? 5 months after Jenny passed, her partner and my adopted sister, Lisa, riddled with guilt and battling her own demons, hung herself from a tree. That was the nail in the coffin for me. If my family had not been so crazy, would Lisa have lived? 2 weeks later, in a repressed rage toward everything about my life, I spent a dangerous day drinking and popping pills while I cared for my children. The next day, my husband, terrified for his family, drove me to the psychiatric unit at Presbyterian Hospital for the rite of passage in my family, where I checked myself in for the timeout I needed. Locked up for 3 days, I felt surrendered. A therapist there told me she thinks I wanted to die. I did. But not living wasn't an option. Post-hospital stay, I completed an intensive outpatient women's program where my grief and healing found a place to begin. I was a disaster. A long line of brilliant women had gone before me. Magnetic, passionate, dead. I was determined to figure myself out. I called it Project Lisa. I made Amazon rich with my book orders on any topic that could help me heal, make sense of my life. I began yoga school. I talked to pastors, my therapist. I left my confining marriage corroded by insecurities. I found a job. Then I secured that apartment in a painstaking process to find some footing. But then Jalen falls out the window on our first full weekend together there. Dr. Trotter, my longtime therapist, said to me in one of our appointments, in her soothing and calm Swiss accented voice, "Statistically speaking, you're done. Logic tells us you're safe. Nothing more can happen." And then Jalen almost dies. Jalen went back to school after missing a month. I took an extra month off to stutter step and settle into a new apartment back at the same complex. Mostly as part of the girls' trauma recovery process, I was determined to make like the accident had never happened. Fake it till you make it. Again. I was soldiering through so much anxiety on a hairpin trigger anytime I was alone with the girls. But I was also on this strange spiritual high. I confided in God constantly. I'd wake spontaneously early in the morning and be pulled to a state of devotion I'd never known before. Twice, during an early morning half-awake state, I received lucid words of assurance telling me I was doing the right things. Those messages changed me and have strengthened me ever since. With my divorce nearing finality and going through a terrorizing bedbug infestation, it became clear for my sanity that it was time for me to leave. I had money in the bank, and staying in the war zone of the location of Jalen's accident had served its purpose. But it was time to move on. I quit my uninspiring job and have been feeling my way through ever since. It has earned me great riches spiritually, but now I'm broke. Happy, yes, but not yet fat and happy. I think that's when I'll finally feel safe. In the past 9 years, I've had a marriage, a divorce, 2 babies, and a nervous breakdown. I've watched the near-death and miraculous survival of my daughter. I've grieved the loss of my entire family, my mom, my sister, and her partner, in a domino effect of collateral damage. And most recently, my dad. My story is a life of one lived under the gun of many people's fears and insecurities, not the least of which were my own. What I've learned staring down the barrel of the gun of my own heartache and failures is what I'm really made of. Although cut from the same cloth of my family's tragic struggles, my soul is woven with a different fiber. Grace and determination to really live. 4 months ago, my dad was in a car accident. His last words to me before he passed, "I'm a little banged up." Who isn't? I don't know what my life looks like from the outside, but everything truly interesting has happened on the inside. I'm like half a person at best these days, super clumsy at being new Lisa, but I'm not afraid, not because the worst has happened, because I'm free.